Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Leslie. Today, I thought we'd talk about um, the M1 Ultra by xTool a little bit. I am still loving my laser cutter. I use it a lot. And sometimes I use it to improve my crafting space. And so my adventure lately has been finding myself a glue gun holder that I actually like. And that's where my Ultra came in. I took a piece of basswood and I went on an adventure. I signed on to the xTool Creative Space and I looked up glue gun holders. Simple and basic, straightforward, nothing fancy. And this one came up by Comp 56. And I must admit, while it's very basic, it pleases me. So this is the end result. Okay, your glue gun here, which mine is in use in the other room. And then glue sticks will fill this up and it will sit where I need it to be. Any excess glue drips right there. So how do I get to this point? Well, after my adventure in xTool Creative Space, which I must warn you is like going down a rabbit hole because there is a lot of stuff on it and it's easy to get lost in the search. I found this design and I went ahead and I cut it out. Now, I chose to cut mine out of plain basswood, okay? The reason being, I wasn't sure if I want to paint it or stain it or what have you. So I cut this one out of plain basswood and I cut this one out of plain basswood. Your options are this. I could have used a stain and stained it and then cut it out. But I could also use acrylic paint it, and then cut it out. So it could have been multicolored. But let me strongly enforce that if you are doing it that way, you must be sure that it is dry completely and totally. So maybe pick your project on Monday and on Tuesday cut it out, okay? But I chose to go ahead and to do this one right here. Now, how did it go together? Well, I use Gorilla Glue. It's just a wood glue. I have in a pinch used normal Gorilla Glue, but I do like the wood glue. And so all I had to do really was pick a spot for this. Now, my advice to you is this. I have these. They came from the dollar store. And I don't know the technical name of them. But I would grab, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Is that enough? Yeah. That's more than enough, in fact. And where my glue gun is going to be, I would give it a little support because it did not have a spot to slide this piece in. So there is no spot just to slide this in to help secure it. So it is tipping a little and it is a little wobbly. Just a little. It will hold my glue gun. I used it last night. But for the sake of the project and your sanity, I would maybe take this and do this. Now, the other thing you can do if you don't have any of these is use the circles that yours cut out. My granddaughter is using the circles in the middle of flowers that she made. So my circles have a use already, but that's what I would do. So this way, I would make these and glue them down and make them, let them dry, and then slide this in between. And that will help to stabilize this piece of wood so that it's nice and stable and you don't have any worries, okay? So that is what I would do. Now for this piece here, you could, but I think, let me try, that you're going to interfere, see, with your glue spaces. You're going to take some away, but it is sturdy because it has the 4. So if you have enough patience just to hold it together for a bit, you will do fine, okay? I have, unfortunately, glue stuck in there. So what I do is I just pour a bit of this out onto the tabletop. And I forgot to grab my handy dandy brush here. Oops, wrong one. Oh, I like this one right here for it. We will go ahead now. Sorry guys, I threw my knee out, so moving around is a bit difficult. So we can just take this now, and I just do this. Since my lid is clogged, I just put a bit out on my tabletop. And I do this. Now, if you wanted, once again, you could paint this with your acrylic paints or your stain. But for now, I just want to get it glued together to show you. It's not hard, and these are the steps that you can take. And this way, whether it's this one or a different one, you get exactly what you want for your glue gun. And for me, that is what matters. Now, I didn't leave as much room on this end simply because I have a mini glue gun that's going to go on this end. So I'm not as worried about it having as much space as it does for my big one. And then I just dab it along. And now I would just do this. Before those get totally dry, I would get this in between. And together, whoops, uh-oh, this one is totally dry. I'll have to really slide her in there. Okay, I need my tool just to lift that corner up some. Whoops. Here we go. In case you're wondering, that was actually the tool that I made with my 3D printer to scrape off difficult 3D prints. So there's a hint. So now I'm just going to take this, drop it in there, just as easy as the paintbrush, and place it right there. Now, after this, you can leave it natural. You can stain it, paint it, decorate it any way you like. And it will be unique. No matter how many of these are printed off and how many people make them, they're not going to all be the same. So that is that piece, nice and simple. I am going to give this one to my granddaughter because she uses the mini glue gun. And so I'm going to give it to her to use, and she will use it to go ahead and hold her little mini. Now I'm just going to glue this piece down. She doesn't necessarily, or she won't necessarily use it for the glue sticks. She will probably use it for all her colored markers, because everything in her world still has to have glitter. And so she glitters everything with glitter markers. So I imagine if you were to visit me at one point and see hers, it will be covered in glitter, but it's fine. That's why we make our own. So they can be the way we want them to be and not the way someone else does. So here we go. We're going to take this, just line it up like that. And while that dries, we're going to work on this one. And this is where the patience comes in, because this is where we must hold it. So I like glue on both sides. And this dries nicely, so I don't have to worry about it being seen, which is very, very important. Once I paint it, I don't want you to be able to see the glue through it. So here we go. And like I said, here is where the patience comes in, because you're going to have to hold it. And so I am going to hold this and talk to you about these. I have had so much fun selling my laser creations and my 3D prints. It's been a blast. But this week I did some 3D prints for me. And one of the things I printed was an infinity block. Now, I will probably print it again and print it bigger. But for a test, yeah, I've still got to hold this. For a test block, it has been a blast. It just folds and folds and folds another way. It's just fun. Hard to do with one hand, but fun. I will show you when I have two hands. But look at this little guy. It is called an infinity tree. So what happens is you put it like this, and it goes up and down and up and down. I'm, of course, going to print it bigger. But this little guy has been so much fun. Believe it or not, it is addictive. Even in this mini size, I've been playing and playing and playing with it. Just watching it go up and down. So I think I will find one that I can use to sell. That, oh, you know what, guys? I'm going to get some painter's tape. Just one moment. I'll show you a trick. So what I do is when I project is hard to get glued, I will just put that there. I will dip into my glue and I will go along the outside edges to give it more support. I can always wipe it off after any excess with my hand wipes. They will take away any excess, but this helps a lot. And then what I do, because I shake now at my age a bit, some days more so than others. I take this and I do this. Notice that I'm not tucking it tight into the side here. I'm going above and then here. And it helps to hold it in place for a few minutes while it sets. So now we can go back to this. And this just twists and turns and tumbles. So I'm going to print some bigger ones. I'm going to print some bigger of these. I'm going to find a commercial licensed one, which means that if I want to, I could donate it to the school for their sales to raise money for the library. I could sell it myself or whatnot. Please make sure if your new fad is 3D printing and you want to sell them, you get a commercial license. I love this one. This is, okay, so this is the original one. I found it on Maker World, and it's another fidget, and it just spins. But what I did, because 3D prints create a lot of poop, in other words, wasted filament, when they're changing from one color to the next, I made a poop fidget. In other words, I made the same fidget again, but told it to use what would be wasted filament to make the fidget. So there are some spots where some of the color may be more black than it is the copper color, but that's because it's using the waste to create it. And the other thing I created was this little guy. Now, I say created, but I printed. I have found these all on Maker's World. And I am practicing. I'm adjusting things. I'm playing. I'm changing them up in spots that I want to change him. I think this little guy is really cute. I might make his hands or paws a bit more sturdy, but I really like him. He's adorable. You can play with him. He moves nicely. He's nicely articulated. I think he's going to be fun. Now, we should be okay. I'm going to leave that there for now. And I am going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to paint in between those with the glue. And I'm going to paint along here. So yeah, that's what's been happening. I took a little break from my paper crafting to get things restocked in the laser world and the 3D print world. And now I am going to put this one in place and hold it there for just a moment. And then what I'm going to do is take this one, put it through here, make sure it lines up there. Take this one, put it through here and kind of use them as legs to support and line up my top so that I don't have to hold it and it's nicely lined up for the glue stick. So there's a little hint for you to make sure that all your glue sticks go in and everything's lined up. And now we'll just leave that. And that is... Okay, I said just leave it and then I moved it. I know. Don't listen to what I say, or don't do what I do. Listen to what I say. How's that for words for you? Okay, guys, I will repair this. No worries at all. It's not a big deal. It's all glue, right? Just re-gluing. And then do as I say, not as I do. That's today's lesson. Alrighty, so let's get this one here glued on right now. It's nice and straight. Get this on here, and I'll leave it be because this will be this in the end. So like I said, guys, make it the way you want. If you don't have a laser printer and you're interested in one of these, find someone who sells their laser prints and ask them how much they would charge. I would say for something like this, I would probably charge around, let me see, 10, 12 to $13. You know, price of wood, and then the cost of everything, like the supplies, the time that it's in the printer or cutter, sorry, and so forth. I'd say about $12. And then if you wanted it painted or sealed and you didn't want to do that yourself in your own favorite colors, then it might take it up a little bit. So there's an idea, if you do find somebody, of what you could be paying. Now, I'm going to let that one sit and just dry. And I will show you what's going on in this direction. So let's go ahead and take you over. And the printer is running, and as you guys can guess, it's making a fidget stingray in red and white for Canada Day, which is so quickly approaching. All right, guys. Lesson for today. Create what you want and then put it together the way that you want. Make it yours. And remember, do what I say and not as I do. Take care, and I will see you in whatever comes next. Bye.